What's up guys, my name is Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Color Drop in HueForge. Color Drop is a new paid plugin that's come to HueForge, and what it does is it introduces nesting. Now, to some people that might sound like a lot of gibberish, but it's really simple, let me explain. Whenever we're in a mode like Color Pop, for example, HueForge literally looks at your black and white areas of your image and your colored areas of your image, makes two 3D meshes, and stacks them together. It's a really simple and clean way to get color separation if you just have a little bit of color within your image. The problem with that is stacking two meshes together. That makes a very thick project, and we want to save on some print time. That's where Color Drop comes in. You see, in Color Pop, we typically have to rebase whenever we get to our second mesh. So for example, if we have black and white areas on the bottom and then we have colored areas stacked on top of that, we'll typically use a black as a base color, and then we work our way up to white for the black and white areas, and then once we move into the colored range, we rebase with black again, and then we add colors as normal. But what if we could make a thinner HueForge by dropping that second black down to our first black, therefore nesting those colored areas in our black and white HueForge? This leads to quicker print time, thinner prints, and just more coherent 3D meshes altogether. Now, the reason that this is a plugin and not a core function of HueForge is this doesn't stick to the traditional way of any printer can print a HueForge as long as it supports pauses. You have to have a tool changer or an AMS or an MMU to do Color Drop. So today I've got three pretty simple projects queued up so that we can look at how to use Color Drop in Color Pop, Color Aware, and Color Match. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Today, I'm not going to go into how to use Color Pop, Color Aware, or Color Match. I'm just going to show you how to use Color Drop within these particular modes. If you need help understanding Color Pop or how to use Color Pop, I'll have links below in the description and at the top right so that you can go check out how to use this mesh mode. But for today's purposes, let's go ahead and we're going to turn on wireframe, and I'll turn this HueForge to the side. And you can see that we have that colored area stacked on top of this black and white area. Now, depending on what kind of result you're going for, that honestly isn't that bad. Like for this particular project, having that rose on top of the black and white areas, it makes sense generally. But there are other Color Pop projects and other projects that you might have where it doesn't necessarily make sense and you want it all within the same layer. So let's go ahead and get into Color Drop. After you've installed it, you should have a plugins tab, and then you'll be able to click on Color Drop. Once you come into Color Drop, you'll have this nice fancy UI. Now, this might seem daunting at first, but it's really simple. This is our print preview, just like we have in our normal HueForge. Over here on the left-hand side, you can see that this is just our color core. You can see that we have our base, and we'll go over that in just a second. Now, this is a very simple project to get our feet wet with the plugin. I didn't want to start off in Color Aware or Color Match and overwhelm you. Now, because I use the exact same color and exact same brand, I'm able to drop that second one into the first. And you can see when we do that, it creates this first nest. Now, nothing changed with the print preview, and you can see here that we have a preview button. So once I click that, it will generate the 3D mesh and change the way that our print preview looks. If you don't want to hit preview every single time, you have the auto checkbox right next to it. The only reason that you wouldn't want to have that auto checkbox all the time is if you're making quick changes all the time and you have a slower system. You probably don't want to, ramp up your fans all the time or just have it working really hard all the time. It can be pretty intensive on a lower end PC. But now that we have our red filament nested in our white filament, we can turn our print preview to the side and we can zoom in, and you can see that we are now a flattened HueForge. Well, I don't want to say flattened HueForge because this is not a flat forge inherently. It's just not as tall as it was before. And on the right-hand side of our print preview, we have the exploded view slider. So you can see that we have all of our black filament as our base layer, and then our red mesh will sit within our white mesh, and we'll have to print multiple swaps per layer. Now, like I said, this created a shorter HueForge overall, and we can see that here. Our original height of this mesh at its tallest point was 2.12 millimeters. Now that we've nested, it's 1.36 millimeters, leading to 0.76 millimeters in height saved. And then just below that, you can see where it says we have 3 STL files in total. You can also see that to the right where we have all 3 of our HueForge meshes. And then to the right of that, we're able to turn off and on our meshes depending on what we're trying to accomplish. It's much more useful when you get into color match and you're trying to see if a color is even needed for different parts of a mesh, or if we're attempting to nest multiple colors. Now, some of you have probably noticed that we skipped over cut holes to piece shape, tight fit, and tight cutout. These are effectively the same thing. If I click on cut holes to piece shape, you can see that our print preview changes and then our tight cutout also gets checked. So what this is effectively doing, you can see that it kind of looks like we ruined the preview, but this is a feature, not a bug. This is just not the right project for this particular feature. What it's essentially doing is because we nested this red filament within our white filament, it is now making that black filament that we used as our base within this nest as a cutout. And so let me show you what I mean. If I bring this nest back onto our base, you can see that this is where our black areas were. I mean, this is exactly where our black areas were. And then when we drop our black areas with that option checked, it keeps the height of those areas that we're now cutting out, if that makes sense. So because we're cutting holes to piece shape, it's cutting those areas that we dropped into actual pieces and keeping them at the same height rather than us seeing what was dropped. So you're probably asking yourself, why is this useful? And I'm going to be honest with you, 99% of the time, you're never going to use cut holes to piece shape. It's just there if you're wanting to really cover up where you nested. So this is more useful for like color match. And if you're trying to cover up colors below, but again, like 99% of your projects are not going to be using cut holes to piece shape, especially in color pop. So just know it's there, but just know that you're probably not going to use it. Now, I would show you an example of where it is useful, but personally, I haven't even found a scenario in my own workflow where I need cut holes to piece shapes, so we're not going to go over that today. So now that we have a better understanding of color drop and a general grasp of what it's trying to do by combining light colors and nesting unlike colors together, I want to move into a more complicated project in color aware. But before we get there, you might notice that we have STL export, flatten, flat fill, and 3MF export. If you didn't know, color drop is actually compatible with HueForge, it's compatible with flat fill, and it's compatible with the new plugin 3MF export if you have any of these purchased. If you don't have these plugins purchased, obviously they won't be available to you. And you can see here that we have 3MF export and it has a red X. And that is because if we come over here to STL export, we can actually uncheck use STL output. And now we are able to use our fancy 3MF output. I'm going to have a standalone video for the 3MF plugin because there are quite a few things you need to know when you're using it. It's not just as simple as exporting a 3MF. So if you want to see that video, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you get notifications whenever that video comes out. But let's go ahead and get into color aware so that you can see a little bit more complicated project. So this is actually a project that's available in HueForge in the projects folder. If you want to follow along, you're more than welcome. If you come up here to file and then you come down to browse projects, you should see all of the stock HueForge projects you're able to play around with and get an idea for these different mesh modes. But now you can see that we're in color aware. But again, we're not going to go into the nitty gritty of any of these mesh modes. Just know that color aware is stacking 3 different meshes based on the different color zones that HueForge sees within your image. So all of the green within this image is stacked on all of the red within this image that's stacked on all of the blue within this image. And if I turn this project to the side, you can see that a little bit better. Again, if you want a nitty-gritty video, I have a link to it up here, and I have it down below in the description, so go check those out. Let's go ahead and get into color drop. Now that we're in the plugin, you can see that this is a lot more complicated, or at least it looks a lot more complicated than our color pop example, because we have so many filaments. If I turn this print preview to the side, you can see that we started with that blue area, and this black, this base black is actually for the blue areas, and then we had to rebase to do our red areas, and then we rebased again to get our green areas. And that is apparent here. You can see that we used Bamboo Lab Basic Black 3 separate times in order to do that rebasing. Now, as a beginner, I totally suggest using AutoSuggest. I think that AutoSuggest is really good for color pop and color aware specifically. Once you get into color match, it can be a little hit or miss, but it's still a very good option. But let's go ahead and click AutoSuggest and see what HueForge thinks is the best way for this to be dropped. And you can see here that it dropped all of our black rebases down to the same layer, which is that bottom layer, and now we have a much more coherent 3D mesh. Instead of having these 3 different scenes at 3 different heights, they're all basically at the same height, which is so much nicer than before. And now I want to show you how to do it manually rather than using AutoSuggest because there are a few key differences if you do run into a situation where, let's say that, we have multiple reds and it tries to auto-suggest red rather than these blacks, or some other case scenario where you want to manually make changes. You have to start with your topmost light color. So if I go to this second color and I bring this down, now I will be unable to click the topmost black and bring it down as well. So if we come back over here, let's grab that first one and we're going to bring it all the way to here. And then we can grab all of these and bring it down. And now there you go. Now we have a coherent mesh and we're back to where it was with auto suggest. Now there's one more scenario that we can talk about with this particular color aware project. Because we have these three blacks and blue is our lowest black, you can see here in our green color space that we actually have that red color space within it. So rather than dropping this black and this black all the way to the base, I can actually drop our green color space black and nest all of these colors within our red color space. And if I turn this preview to the side, you can see that we get a much more coherent red color space within our green color space. You can see if I bring this nest back up, that this green area builds on top of that red color space and creates that indentation, and it doesn't look very good. So by bringing this down and dropping it here, you can see that now we have a much more flat and much more coherent green globe here. So again, those scenarios come up, and that's why it's so important to be able to manually move these nests around. Again, auto suggest is great if you're just starting in color drop, but there are scenarios like this where maybe you do want that blue color space in the lowest part of your 3D mesh, but you want this green and red color space up a little bit higher. And you can absolutely do that by just dropping one of the light colors to another light color. This scenario might never come up for you, but it's just nice to know that you're able to, nest a color. You don't have to nest all of them to the lowest point. You can nest it, up higher a little bit. So the way that this will print, it'll print all of your blue color space like it does your typical HueForge. It'll print that all for these base colors, and then it'll rebase that black, and then that's where it starts building on, sharing these two colors on the same layers, these two colors on the same layers, etc. So just know that it's an option for you. For me personally, I don't use color aware that often, but that is a very useful feature when it comes to color match because I find myself rebasing several times and I don't necessarily want some particular areas to drop too low in our mesh. I'm really interested to get the community's opinion on color drop and just see if it fits in your workflow on a day-to-day basis or what you would be using it for. So be sure to comment down below. But let's go ahead and get into color match so I can show you an even more complicated project. All right, so you can see up here in mesh mode, we are in color match, and that's also apparent because we have a color core and our mesh core. And you can also see in our color core that we did not use a single black filament. So this is going to be a very different style workflow, and I'm excited to show you guys what I want to do with this. I used the same exact white filament 3 times, and I also used the same exact blue filament twice for different reasons. Some of them are for highlights in certain areas. Some of them are for base colors like the background. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to see what AutoSuggest thinks that it should do. So all it did was drop the second white down to our base and nest everything else above it. It didn't drop our third Anycubic white, and let me show you why. If we click on Reset, we'll bring it back to how it was. I'm actually using this white to get the highlights in her skin, and when we drop that, we're effectively dropping that topmost white all the way down to the base, so it doesn't highlight her, it just cuts into her face, and that just is very not good. It's not a good result. So if you are messing around with, matching up different colors for your base, just realize what you're actually doing. You're dropping those colors that maybe you're using for highlights, and it'll turn into results like this. So let's go ahead and put this back up top. Now, I don't think that it's a bad result to bring all of these down and nest all of these colors. I think that it's actually a really good result, and I think it's really clean. But I also think, because I was playing with this before I made the video, I think that using the Pan Chroma Translucent also creates a really nice mesh, and it makes it a little bit more blue and makes it pop a little bit more. So this is where it's up for interpretation. Again, it's going to make all of these blue areas, like in her shirt, as well as her hair, on the same layer. And I think overall, it just creates a more coherent and a more smooth mesh. And if I use exploded view, you can see that the whole background, her whole silhouette is that blue, and then everything else builds on top of that. And I think that overall, that just looks a lot better. So again, it's up for interpretation. You can do whatever you want. And we didn't bring all of our whites down to the base, but we effectively cut down a lot of print time. Especially if we brought down these blues, we almost cut down 0.5 millimeter. And that's a pretty big deal when you're printing 100% infill for these HueForges. I mean, that cuts down on time significantly. And for flat forges, it cuts down on time a lot. And it also cuts down on the thickness of flat forges, which is a really big deal. So just keep that in mind. Now, one thing to think about is because we're cutting down so much on the height of our HueForges, 2 millimeters is not big. It's actually pretty floppy. And so with that in mind, if we come out of color drop, And down here we have base thickness. I personally like to work in increments of 1 millimeter, especially for something like this that has a solid background. So for this, if I go up to 1.48, we will ultimately thicken up that background to 1.48. And I think that overall, that's just me. I just like thickening up a whole millimeter, and I know I don't have to worry about it flopping around. If that's the result you're going for, maybe you're going to heat it up and press it to something. Obviously you'd want it a little bit thinner, but for most case scenarios, you're going to want it a little bit thicker so that it has some heft to it, so it's not as fragile and not as easy to bend or just get damaged in general. So just keep that in mind that once you do a color drop, um, that you are increasing your base thickness. That will help you in the long run significantly, because you can see here now our original height was 3.16 and we cut it down 0.72 by dropping that white. So now we saved that 0.72, but we're still at basically 2.5 millimeters, which is plenty thick enough. That 1.5 millimeters for the base thickness, plenty thick enough to make sure that it's not a floppy HueForge. So that's everything you need to know to get started with this brand new plugin. The key takeaways from this video are that, one, this plugin is awesome if you're trying to cut down on print time and you're also trying to cut down on the material that you're using per print. It is just very, very nice for that. And two, remember, you have to have an AMS or a tool changer to do these style of 3D prints. And three, this plugin is compatible with things like FlatForge and FlatFill. Now, some of you that have been longtime subscribers may have noticed that my filament wall is gone. We are moving that to another location, and because of that, all of my collection is just like all over the place right now. So I didn't have time to just sort through it to find filament to make examples for this video, but hopefully while I was orienting, different meshes and stuff like that, you had an idea of how this is going to save you time and how these meshes will look whenever you print them. Now, if you're at home and you're trying to start a filament collection of your own, I have a bunch of coupon codes for different filament manufacturers that I have partnered with or just work with in general, so be sure to go check those out. They do help the channel out a little bit, but I told these filament manufacturers, I was like, I would rather have coupons than a bigger cut of an affiliate link, so you guys could get some benefit out of that. And if this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you learned something.